Narcissists never understand or will have a conversation with you about principles. This is because they do not have them. In fact, they will divert the conversation from principles to another topic. They will minimize any conversation about principle and they will make it about something completely irrelevant. For instance, uh, I asked my husband to bring me a certain paper that we needed for taxes. I asked him if he had them and when he could bring them. Well, he didn't. All he said was, like an hour later, I'm in your town. I have the papers. Can I drop them off at the house or the mailbox? Well, he knows that he's not allowed at this house. He knows that he's not allowed to leave things in the mailbox. And so I texted him back and I said, you know, usually, when people they make a plan. They wait for the other person to say, they say to the other person, when can you meet? But of course, instead of doing that, he triangulated with my son and had my son meet him. And my son is really getting tired of doing this. And I told my son he didn't have to do this, but the narcissist wants to make my son the flying monkey. So anyway, I texted him and I said, it would have been good if you could have let me know or asked me when I could meet you. And I said, can you respect that boundary? And he said, yes, okay. And then my son comes downstairs and says, I'm meeting Dad to pick up the papers now. And so that is an example of how they shift it, and then they say, oh, I had to be somewhere, or whatever excuse they use, instead of just being able to communicate in the first place about when the time was best for you to meet him. Or another example is if my husband lied to me about smoking. Instead of just saying, I lied, that was wrong. I can see how that ruined your trust for me. Instead, he said it was only about, I just didn't want you to know I was smoking. I thought maybe you would not love me anymore or whatever. Or I thought maybe you might start smoking, so I was protecting you. Instead of just saying, I lied. And then not only did did he lie, but then he said, I said, well, how could I trust you now? You're not trustworthy. And he said, oh, no, I'm trustworthy. You could trust me. He couldn't even make the connection between lying and ruining somebody's trust. He had to make it about that was one lie. And that was a few months ago. And so that's another thing. If you bring up something like, why did you say this to my son? This thing that you said that was intended to turn him against me. He would just say, oh, that was a month ago. Instead of the principle of not trying to turn your loved ones against you, instead of addressing that boundary that was broken and that maliciousness that he actually went out of his way to, well, now, of course, he's flipping the script. And it's been about 5 months since the separation, and he knows now that I really am serious about it. So now it's time to start the smear campaign and tell my son, try to get him to be his flying monkey and tell him that I'm the narcissist. So that's the new script. Your mom's the narcissist, and not only did he say your mom's the narcissist, but he said your mom is dangerous and I would be careful if I were you. So it's just, this is projection, and it's crazy making behavior. Another example is that the other night at about 11:30 at night, I don't even remember what had been going on first, but he had my son meet him in some parking lot to deliver flowers. Okay, that sounds really nice. Flowers are really nice, but I don't want his flowers. All I want is to be treated right. And then we'll deal with flowers if things had gotten better and he was showing me he was trying to change, flowers would have been nice. But the reason that I truly know that I did the right thing leaving him is that the behaviors have gotten worse since the separation. There is no trying to get back. He says the words he wants to get back, but the behaviors have gotten worse. The mask is off. So I told him, he said, how do you like the flowers? And I said, the trash likes them. I said, I really didn't like the way you treated me in the emergency room, and I had to kick you out of the room because all you did was defend yourself and ignore me flat out. Like say I said something like, have you tried that new restaurant? Playing with his phone, just like I wasn't in the room. And it happened about 10 times. Did you see this story on TV? Texting or whatever, just like I was not there. And so it's gotten worse over, since we've been separated. And every single time that I have any contact with this man, it ruins my day. I mean, and I know it shouldn't have that power. When I don't talk to him, I have a great day. So when he tries to triangulate with my son, I have a really bad day. But what I'm doing now, my son, he would tell my son specific things that he knew that he would tell me to really upset me. And then I would say it back to him and call him on it. Why did you say that to my son? And now I'm not doing it. I'm not responding, hoping that he'll stop doing this to my son. Stop telling him lies, things like I'm the narcissist. It's just crazy. And so I'm not responding. No matter what he says, no matter what he tells my son, I'm not going to tell him that thing, because then he knows that I'm upset, which is his goal. So I did say, I am trying to record some things on texts just so I can use them for evidence when we do get divorced and I do get a restraining order, that he does not know how to respect boundaries. He thinks, well, I'm here, drop everything. I didn't tell you I was coming, we didn't have a plan, but I'm here. So time to drop everything you're doing and go meet me. And then, of course, it's nice because he's bringing me something that I need. So that's the cognitive dissonance again. He's doing me a favor, quote, because he's bringing me something nice, something that I needed. That was a nice act. So there again, there's always that little thing where, well, he did me a favor, And then you're like, no, but I know that you're supposed to make a plan, not just say, I'm here. And then when I text him and say, I'll get back to you in a few minutes about when I can meet you, my son's already out the door to meet him, and he's paying him $20 to get the actual papers. So I'm sitting here saying, this is the rabbit hole again. Every single time I deal with this man, it's the rabbit hole. So anyway, this is just a quick video. This is one of the ways that I record things so that it helps me to remember. I don't have time to sit and write this. So it helps me to say, yeah, that did happen. That did happen again. The boundaries were crossed.